How many of you remember a time when what you watched on TV or the books that you read were based on whether or not they were appropriate for you and your age at that time? In our day and age of mass media marketing, there are a lot of things that are marketed towards children that may not actually be appropriate for them. Think back to a time when you were younger and you saw the age restriction on the TV show or the movie, or you were told not to read certain books or to do certain things. How did that make you feel? And what messages were you getting about yourself, the content, and maybe even the person who is enforcing these restrictions? Picture this. There's a child engaging in superhero play. They are fully immersed in the character. They know what the character is all about, their skills, the storyline, and they're going around to other children and engaging with them while being in this character. Some of the children are playing with them and get really excited and they get into character as well. While on the other hand, there are some children that are a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit scared, and they don't seem like they want to play. As you watch these moments unfold, you begin to notice that this child is really in character, and it seems that they are having a little bit of trouble recognizing and differentiating between what is their play and what is reality. Think for a second of what might be going through this child's mind, and how would you interact with this child as you notice the situations unfolding before you. The thing about our brains is that it goes from a concrete to abstract understanding of the world. This is why for young children, relationships can often be quite difficult. Understanding another person, putting themselves in their shoes, there's a lot to understand. In knowing this about our brains and the brains of young children, it helps us understand how we need to be mindful of what we are exposing young children to. Unfortunately, with mass media, it can be quite difficult because there are many things that are marketed towards children that really aren't appropriate for them. They combine the concrete and the abstract in ways that make it quite challenging for children to separate them or even understand the differences between the two. Now let's think back to today's moment. For this young child, they can get very engrossed in what they're playing, which is not bad. It's wonderful to see young children fully immersed in what they're doing and fully engaged in ways that allow them to expand their creativity, expand their understanding, to stretch their thinking. However, for this child, I noticed that it's quite challenging for them to separate themselves from what they're playing, to remove themselves when their play is done. But instead, they stay in character, and they almost treat the character or what they're playing as their reality. This can become quite unfortunate and almost even harmful for the young child, because they aren't able to understand limits and boundaries when it comes to this kind of play. This then not only potentially puts them in harm's way, but other children and other individuals as well. This is why it's important to be able to step back and to really think about whether or not our children are ready and able to understand and engage with what they're being exposed to. If they are not, then it poses a lot of challenges for the children when they want to play in certain ways, reenact certain things that they're seeing and they're engaging in, when it's not actually appropriate and it can be harmful to them and others. Likewise, for us as adults, when we don't take that time to step back and to really think about these things, then often we become baffled as to why our children are engaging in certain ways and why they're acting in certain ways that seem to be problematic and challenging. When we do step back and we do give ourselves this space to think about whether children are ready or not, then we are also giving ourselves the space to think about how we can prepare them and how we can equip them to engage with the world around. The reality is that mass media and the things that are being marketed to children is probably not going to change. And so, what we can do is to prepare ourselves to think critically, to give ourselves a space so that we can really develop the skills and understanding of the world that can then help us instead of hinder us. This then becomes a cycle where when we engage with the world around, we can continue to think critically, continue to be more mindful, and ultimately continue to watch, think, be.